And the church became about huddling up in our own little groups, right? We ended up with our own schools and our own bookstores and our own radio stations. And in my college years, there were even people traveling around the country doing these big programs about how we needed to listen to only Christian music. And not only do we need to listen to only Christian music, but we needed to burn our non-Christian records. I'm sorry, young people. A record was a piece of vinyl that, was before 8 tracks. It's how we got our music, okay? And it was fun when you burned them because they shriveled all up. But the people said we were supposed to burn them, not only because, some of you are gonna feel me here, not only because if you played them forwards, they had bad messages on them, remember? But if you could somehow figure out how to play them backwards, there were satanic messages on them that you could only hear if you played backwards. Does anybody remember this? Which only makes a guy like me go, how do you play a record backwards? And I thought about it, I prayed about it. Honestly, there was some music I was listening to that I was wrong. It was not helping my Christian walk back then, but when they got to the Eagles Hotel California, I put my foot down. Am I right? You could say amen to that. Am I right? No, I said, no, you've gone too far. That's the best rock guitar duet in history. I'm not burning that. And listen, I'm not saying that this Christian stuff is wrong. I am a pastor, okay? A lot of Christian stuff is important to me. Christian music ministers to me. I need my church groups. I need my Christian friends. What I'm saying is that removing ourselves from the world was never the goal. It's the opposite. That's your word, opposite of the goal. I wrote a book on this subject called Life on Mission. It's published by Saddleback Resources, as a matter of fact. I don't know how my granddaughter's picture got in there. So sorry. It's based on a line from The Purpose-Driven Life that has always stuck with me. When Pastor Rick said, and some of you will remember this, why doesn't God take you to heaven the moment you become a believer? Why is that? I mean, have you ever thought about it? I mean, heaven is perfect and earth is not. You've got sin, you've got temptation, you've got trials, you've got all these things. Why doesn't God just go poof and take you to heaven? And he said there are only 2 things that you can do on earth that you can't do in heaven. One of them is sin, and the other is tell people the good news about God's love. So which one of those 2 reasons do you think you're alive? Why am I alive? To share the good news. Straight out of Purpose-Driven Life. You ought to read it. You can't love your neighbor if you're keeping the good news from them. And you can't expect to get close to their dad either. Do you see where I'm going with this? Closer both ways.